The rejection hit him before the words even finished forming. The panel's eyes had already shifted away, pens resting, minds decided. In that silent moment, standing in a glass-walled conference room 20 floors above a city that never noticed men like him, a single father realized he had lost yet another chance before it truly began. His resume lay untouched, his tired suit wrinkled at the elbows, his hope barely breathing. He had come seeking dignity, not sympathy, but the world rarely made that distinction. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and stories where ordinary people rise when life pushes them down, take a moment right now to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel. Your support keeps stories like this alive. His name was Daniel Carter, and everything about his life had been reduced to survival. Every morning started before sunrise, when he gently woke his 6-year-old daughter from sleep, packed her lunch with careful precision, and walked her to a neighbor who watched her before school. Every night ended with calculating bills he could not fully pay, staring at a phone that never rang with good news, and wondering how long love alone could keep a child safe. Daniel had once been a systems engineer with a promising career, until his wife's sudden illness drained their savings, and her passing drained the rest of him. Grief did not pause for rent, and companies did not pause for grief. The interview today was supposed to be different. The company was massive, one of the fastest-growing tech firms in the city, led by a CEO known for brilliance and impossible standards. Daniel had studied every line of their website, memorized their mission statement, practiced answers while washing dishes late at night. But the moment he mentioned the gap in his employment, the years spent caregiving, the part-time jobs stacked together to keep food on the table, the room subtly closed. Experience gaps made investors nervous. Single fathers made schedules unreliable. The rejection came politely, professionally, and finally. As Daniel gathered his papers, a quiet chaos unfolded outside the conference room. Phones buzzed. Assistants rushed past with tight faces. Screens flickered with alarming red notifications. The company's internal system, the very backbone of its operations, had crashed minutes before a major investor presentation. Millions of dollars hung in uncertainty, and no one could trace the source fast enough. The CEO, a woman whose reputation was built on control and certainty, stood frozen as her team scrambled. For the first time in years, she did not have an answer. Daniel noticed before anyone asked him to leave. Old instincts stirred. He caught a glimpse of an error log on a passing tablet, a pattern that felt painfully familiar. Years ago, he had designed a near-identical architecture, one that failed in the same subtle way under peak load. It was not a hardware issue, not a simple bug, but a cascading permissions conflict buried deep in the system's logic, the kind of problem that hid in plain sight until everything collapsed. He hesitated, heart pounding. This was not his company. He had already been dismissed. Speaking up might embarrass him further, or worse, be seen as arrogance from a rejected candidate. But the image of his daughter's face that morning, trusting and hopeful, pushed him forward. With quiet respect, he pointed out the flaw, explaining the root cause in seconds, outlining the fix with clarity born of experience and loss. The room went still again, but this time differently. Engineers stopped typing. The CEO turned fully toward him, not as a formality, but with genuine attention. Within moments, the solution was implemented, the system stabilized, the red alerts vanished, the investor presentation resumed, seamless, almost miraculous to those who did not know how close the collapse had been. Daniel did not celebrate. He simply nodded, thanked them for listening, and turned to leave, believing his role in the story was done. But the CEO watched him walk away with a look that was no longer dismissive, but deeply unsettled. She had built her career on believing talent was visible, predictable, easy to filter. Yet the most valuable insight of the year had come from a man she had already written off. In the days that followed, Daniel returned to his routine: school drop-offs, rejection emails, late-night work fixing computers for neighbors to earn a little extra. He did not tell anyone about the interview or the crisis he had quietly solved. Hope, he had learned, was something to ration carefully. What he did not know was that inside the glass tower, the CEO was unraveling her own assumptions. She reviewed the interview footage, the resumes discarded, the way her company had nearly failed because it listened only to credentials instead of lived experience. She thought of her own rise, the mentors who had once taken risks on her when her path was not perfect. And she thought of the man who had solved in seconds what her best teams had missed in hours. When Daniel received the call, he almost did not answer. Unknown numbers rarely brought good news. But this time, it was an invitation, not to another interview, but to a conversation. The company did not offer him pity or charity. They offered him responsibility, a role designed around his strengths, with flexibility that acknowledged his reality as a father, not a flaw to be hidden. The transition was not instant magic. There were still mornings of exhaustion, moments of doubt, nights when Daniel wondered if he truly belonged in a place that once rejected him so easily. But slowly, something shifted. His daughter noticed first. The tension in his shoulders eased. Laughter returned to their small apartment. Dinner was no longer rushed silence but shared stories and plans for a future that felt possible again. At work, Daniel became known not just for his technical brilliance, but for his empathy. He saw people others overlooked. He listened. He built systems that accounted for human error, for real life, not just ideal conditions. The company grew stronger, not just in profit, but in culture. And the CEO, watching from a distance, understood a lesson no business school had ever taught her. Resilience is not always loud, and the greatest value often walks in wearing a tired suit and carrying invisible weight. Near the end of the year, the company held a gathering to celebrate milestones. Daniel stood at the back, uncomfortable with attention, thinking only of getting home in time to read his daughter a bedtime story. But as the CEO spoke about growth and vision, she paused and acknowledged the moment everything had almost fallen apart, and the person who had quietly put it back together. She did not mention rejection. She spoke of humility, of listening, of the danger of judging worth too quickly. Daniel did not feel victorious. He felt grateful. Grateful that one moment of courage had been enough. Grateful that his skills still mattered. Grateful that his daughter would grow up seeing not just struggle, but perseverance rewarded. If this story touched your heart even a little, if it reminded you that kindness and second chances can change lives, please take a moment now to like the video, share it with someone who needs encouragement, and subscribe to the channel. Your engagement tells us these stories matter. And before the ending, we have a special request for you. Comment below with the words, "second chances," if you believe no one should be defined by a single rejection. Because somewhere right now, a tired parent is walking out of an interview believing they were not enough, and somewhere else, a problem waits for the one person others are too quick to overlook. Sometimes, all it takes to change a life is a few seconds of being truly seen.